start Winedown Wednesday with your hosts, Missy, Dawn, Angie, TJ, Nikki, and Lindsay. So grab your glass or your cup and join us for great conversations about, well, who knows? Let's just enjoy the evening. Here we go.
Hola, family, and welcome back to Winedown Wednesday. As always, we are glad that you decided to join us. As we go live, we ask that you like and share this page. If you've been a part of our conversations, you recognize some of the faces that you see joining us again tonight. And then we also have some new faces with us. I am Melissa Davis, owner and operator of Hands of Melody Doula Services. I go by Missy, so hello and welcome again. I have some very familiar faces with me tonight. As always, I have Angie, who is our social media coordinator. I have Nick, our millennial mime. I have Lindsay, who is our clinical psychotherapist. I have doula Dawn, who is also one of the doulas that works with us. Rachel is one of our moms and mentors on our group. Daniel is one of our male doulas, which we'll talk about a little bit again tonight. We have Drew, which is one of our dads in our village. We also have Rashida joining us. She is one of our moms. We have Sheena and Osado. They are part of our village as well. And we have Earl joining us, which is one of our dads from our dad chat. And I also see Shayla coming into the room. My husband will be coming in a little bit. I think there's some technical difficulties happening, but Andre will be in the room in just a little bit. So welcome back. We are coming back for part 2 of our men's perspective. And I hope that everybody had a chance to go and watch part 1, and it was pretty interesting, and I'm sure part 2 tonight will be pretty interesting as well. So we're going to get right into it. There were a couple of things that I wanted to revisit from last conversation. I think it was about 3 weeks ago. So if you have not, I encourage you to go back and join us and revisit that video so that you can kind of pick up where we left off. We're going to start with Lindsay before we start any new topic of conversation. I wanted Lindsay to talk a little bit. We talked about our dads and their perspective, and we're going to hear from them in a second, but we want to talk about the importance of our dads and their mental health and how they see things from this parenting walk, because again, healthy parents produce healthy children. And so the reverse is true. When you are unhealthy, you parent from an unhealthy place. So Lindsay, if you want to start us off and talk a little bit about the mental health, like how can our dads protect their mental health and make sure they're in the best possible space for parenting these little people?
Okay, so let's get into it. Last episode, I was a little hard on the men, but in actuality, like I have a lot of empathy and compassion for them because I feel like in the mental health realm, they're very misunderstood. And so I want to get into a little bit about depression, anxiety, what it is and how I see that it presents itself with our men. So I'm not gonna bore you with statistics, but 6 million men deal with depression. And out of like 52.9 million, that's like 37%. So getting right into it, depression, what is it? The textbook version is overwhelming sadness, crying spells, isolation, insomnia, hypersomnia, emotional eating, easily irritable, angered, challenges focusing and concentrating. Anxiety, it is irritability, excessive worry, difficulty concentrating, easily fatigued, muscle tension, and sleep disturbance. So normally with women, a lot of times it presents itself in a way where it's very textbook, like based on what I just said. But with men, what I am seeing is that it might look like the male is disconnected. Sometimes it might be self-medication, isolation, doesn't want to communicate, challenges in the work environment. One of the things that I've noticed that's been very interesting just in the dating realm is what we call ghosting. So like I had a client where he would have a depressive episode. And so if you're not familiar with ghosting, what it is like you'll try to you'll be dating somebody and you'll text them and you'll call them, and then all of a sudden you think everything's going well, and then they just drop off the face of the earth. And so with this client, he would have like depressive episodes where he just wanted to isolate, didn't want to engage. And he might go through this for a week and wouldn't respond. And then when he comes out of it, he doesn't know how to engage again, because how do you explain this? Like there's such a stigma around depression that people don't want to have that conversation. So the way that it presents itself is in a way where I'm seeing other people that's on the other side of it, that's feeling it, is looking at it as if, oh, he's a jerk. They don't have, they don't know all the knowledge, but a lot of times people aren't even able to receive the knowledge or understanding. They're just looking at it from a perspective of, he's a difficult person, he's a jerk, he's a bad communicator, he doesn't want to engage with the family, he's not family oriented, and things of that nature. And so I wanted to give this space of like a safe space for men to have the conversation, because I don't think a lot of times that we give them that. The safe space, because the stigma is behind, and it's this toxic masculinity that they have to be strong at all times, and they're not giving the space to actually express their feelings, whether it is feeling sad. And I think as women, we have to do a better job at giving the men that safe space, and not condemning them or being condescending or saying they're soft or saying whatever that you want to say that's not making them feel less than, because they're having a moment of vulnerability.
So my thing is, and I want to ask the guys, she said something about ghosting. What is it that keeps, and I guess men and women are different, we communicate differently. What would it take for a man to be able to open up and say, like, I'm depressed? Because y'all don't open up and say that kind of thing. So for a dad that has a brand new baby, helping his wife through postpartum and all this other stuff, what would it take for you, or how would you communicate to your partner that that's how you feel? Because y'all don't talk a lot, and I want to know. How will we know? How will we know? How will we know you're not just disconnected? How will we know y'all just
Come on,
not?
Osato.
Come on, Sato.
Because I feel like if we ask, you guys are going to tell us.
Yeah, everything is fine. I'm so tired of everything is
And will you tell
fine.
us?
Fine means I'm not okay.
Everything is fine though.
So why so many men, not just men, but why so many men alcoholics if everything is fine?
Well, maybe it just tastes nice. I don't know. I mean, but just.
Did you say taste nice? I didn't say why men drinkers. I said why they alcoholics.
Oh, I don't know.
Come on, Daniel, Andre,
yeah.
Drew, Earl.
Hold on. Alcoholics are men and women
No,
are alcoholics.
I'm not talking about the women. We know how we get the postpartum depression stuff. We know all of that's real. We done already admitted up and owned up to ours. This is y'all's. We trying to understand.
So it's based on the upbringing, because as young boys, we're taught to hide our emotions and feelings, and become men to hide our emotions and feelings. So we bring the traditions back to our sons to say, how your feelings, pick up and carry on. And that's what we're supposed to do.
So how do we get through that?
Go ahead, Brandon.
No, I want to know how we get through that.
But it's not just men that try to raise their boys like that. Women do it too.
Yes.
From early on, telling them, I don't want to see you cry. Stop crying. Boys don't cry. All of that. So
right.
Yeah, it's not just the men.
Right. Single mothers do that to the young boys. So basically it's by conversations. We're not trying to make them soft. It's basically have a conversation to be more open about certain things. It's okay to have a conversation. It's okay to talk things out, because as a soldier, a lot of soldiers coming back from certain areas are having a hard time coping and adjusting to the world to come back home. So now they're having a hard time adjusting. So they're going to counseling to be able to express themselves and also have these conversations about what they experience. So they're able to cope with self-medicate or become alcoholics. And now we're trying to help each other through conversations.
But why does it take so much?
It's an image. It's an image of being weak.
Okay, that's what I wanted you to say. So image, last week we heard the words ego, and so in this image and this ego and this whatever, as you were parented, like you said, it's culture. Like your dads are coming up and they tell you don't be soft, and your boys tell you don't be soft. But don't you think it's time to change that dynamic of no? And Osato, you shaking your head no, but listen to what I'm saying. You have 2 boys, so
You
it's
hate
one
us if
thing.
we're soft.
Wait a minute, and that's what I'm saying. But if they
You
fall,
wouldn't be with us if we act like you want us to act. No.
no.
That's the thing with American women.
There's a
You
difference,
guys
and that's what I
all want
want
us to be this feminine, and when we act like that, oh my God, no.
No, and that's what I want you to differentiate. I'm not talking soft as in your son falls, like get up, like you fine, whatever. However, your son is sitting in his room and mentally he's not okay, but he's been told so long not be okay. He doesn't know how to come and tell you, Daddy, I'm not okay. So that's what I'm trying to differentiate. There's a difference in being what you call soft, because my son said something to me one time. His dad said, go take the trash out. I ain't cut out for that. Like, no, I'm sorry, son. Yes, you are. Get out there and take the trash. That's a difference. We talking about mental health and mental stability. And if I can't come and tell you as a man that I'm not okay, or as a boy that I'm not okay, then I become somebody's husband and I'm still not okay. And then I become somebody's father and I'm still not okay. How do I come and tell you that I'm not okay?
Well, Missy, okay, I'll let the other man take this, but this is one thing you do, and I noticed it you conflate the young boy with the man. We're different stages in life. The conversation started with, okay, where you're a new dad and you have this depressive episode. Now that can be many things. God forbid the child is special needs. Like that can cause like a whole, maybe the money's not right to take care of a newborn, but that can cause a whole. So me being a new dad and my son who's 7-year-old, we're like in so many different stages in life. If he's sad, he's not, when he's sad, that's not a mental health episode. Maybe his boys, maybe he didn't throw the ball well, or he missed a tackle and he felt bad. That we can address that. That's not a mental health thing. He should not be experiencing mental health at 7 years old.
But there's a difference in sadness and depression. And that's what I'm asking you.
7-year-old, why would a 7-year-old be depressed if you're in a loving household? Now, you can be depressed if your household is terrible. But I mean, and then another thing, you bring God into, you said, what can the woman do? Pray for me, make good food. Don't ask me. No, I'm serious. Why are you fussing with making good food? It's good to cook.
No, I'm not talking about the making good food. I'm giving you that look because you really just asked. Every child is not in a loving home, first of all. That's the first thing. And the stages of life, you're right. I'm talking about child, then I'm talking about teenage, and I'm talking about adulthood. But I'm saying to you, as a child, if I'm taught to be hard and to be okay, how did I then grow into a man that has already been told as a child that I should not say or feel certain ways? That's what I'm asking. So I'm not trying to say that the same issues you have like at 7, you're going to have at 17 or 47. But what's instilled in me at 7 follows me until I'm 47. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I just wanted to jump in there. I think it's 2 different things to talk about mental toughness and depression, right? I think that as a man, and I don't know how to say this properly, and maybe Lindsay can help me out or somebody, but as a man, we train our young men to have mental toughness. And I think every woman, that you don't want a weak man, you want a strong man, you want a man that can handle the heat when it gets hot, you know what I mean? And the pressure when it's necessary, right? To be a man. That's different from being vulnerable and being able to talk to your intimate partner about depression and about depression, right? Depression, you have to be vulnerable to say, I'm depressed, you know what I mean? And to talk about those issues. I think it's two different things. But, I hear many women saying, and not necessarily here, but over my experience, I don't think my personal opinion, I don't think a woman wants a weak man. You want a man in the story. And if we're going to teach our young boys to be a man, we teach, like you mentioned the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, right? And that's absolutely true. How we raise our boys to become men is something that many women can't understand, but think that they can raise a man without a man in their life, right? And there's many women that do think that. So I think it's two different things, and you have to compartmentalize it that way.
And I
I
think
like
what
that.
Lindsay
I
was
wanted to
saying too is like there has to be a safe space. Like we can't erase the way you were raised. If your child's 7 and you raised them this way up until this point, it's just about now how can we create a safe space where, yes, I still want you to be a man. I don't want you to be breaking down in the middle of the grocery store. But when we get in the car, will you talk to me about what happened? If our child is going through something, like, can you have that private moment with your child without it being weird, and kind of reverse some of the negative things that you maybe were raised by? Like, so that's what I think Missy was asking too. Is like, how can we, which is not all up to us, you guys have to do some work on your own, but how can we have that safe space so that our children can come to us, so that our male partners, our co-parents, our husbands can come to us? Because like Lindsay said, 37% of y'all are getting depressed. So at least 37% of y'all should be able to talk to us about it. So what can we do?
So this is two things I wanted to say. One, I think it's not just a man problem. I think it's like societal norms. So I do agree exactly with what Asato, did I say your name? Asato was saying, and in a sense of like we don't, and we're taught to like go after like the man that's the lion, right? And so they got to present themselves a certain way. They got to look strong. They got to do this. They got to do that. And you're not necessarily going to go to the man that that might be crying. Like as a woman, I know I had to work on that. Like I remember I was dating a guy and he kept crying. I told him you need to go to a psychiatrist. He's not ready to date. But I wasn't a therapist then. I think I was, it was like he was going to be a client. Like he just wasn't ready to be in a relationship. Just period. You know what I'm saying? I knew I'm not built to deal with that type of person. But Dawn has said something about how do you change your mental when dealing with your own children if you weren't taught as a child how to express your feelings. To me, you have to look at life and say what's not working. It annoys me when people say that, when you're in your 40s, and this is personal, not from a professional standpoint, but this is personal, Lynn, saying, and you're in your 40s when I was dating and you're saying my mama did this and my daddy did this. Like at what point do you take responsibility for where you are in life and get the help that you need? Because we're in a different generation. Like our parents' generation and our grandparents, therapy was not out there the way that it is. It was not accepted the way that it is. And a lot of people have insurance.
Just take it and learn from it and keep it moving.
And therapy
it can't be a crutch forever.
At this point, like we accept Medicaid. So anybody can really get therapy if you want to get therapy. So if you see that what you're doing is not working, whether it's with your family, whether it's at the job, and you keep seeing these dysfunctional patterns, it's your responsibility to change that and then break whatever that generational thing is that you have going on and not pass that down to your kids, or just be a better parent as a whole. If you see that you're depressed and you're not able to really, like I think sometimes with men, what I'll see is like they have so much going on in their head that because they are taught to be a provider. So when things aren't working out from that perspective, it's like they can't even engage with the family. They can't even engage and be connected. So you're missing all of this time. And when you start to see relationship after relationship fail, you have to look at yourself at some point and say, what am I doing? Could I be doing differently? Or what do I need to handle differently?
Hey, Lindsay, I think that was a great answer, and definitely to Don's question. And I think every person is simply different, right? I mean, I think it's emotional intelligence that, that gets people to that place. I'll give you an example. My dad Never, I don't ever remember him saying, I love you. I knew he did, right? And but they came from a generation that they didn't talk about sex. They didn't talk about the things that I probably needed to hear. However, how did I become different from them? I think that's just kind of personal and how you grow up and absorb everyday stimuli from life. You know, I did not want my kids to grow up without hearing the words "I love you," because I probably longed to hear those words from my parents, although I knew they did. Saying it is different. Being vulnerable is different because I've seen dysfunctional relationships. I don't want a dysfunctional relationship, right? So in order to have come from bad relationships to good and lasting relationships, what did I have to do? I had to become vulnerable again. And I think people have to learn how to become vulnerable in order to do that. And at what point does each man reach that stage? Some never reach it. Some do reach it, right? But I mean, I think that's kind of where we are. And that's a people thing, a human thing.
But I like what you just said, and that was that you didn't hear your father say, I love you. You knew he did. He showed you he did. He was a good provider and all of that. But something in you wanted to hear him say that. In your dad's day and age, that was a sign of a soft man. Like, you don't go around like saying your feelings or your emotions. You just kind of showed them, and you wanted something different. And so I want to go back to Osato because I saw his hand, but Osato, that's what I was saying. Oh, Sheena, that's what I was saying by there's a difference in what different people see as soft. So what his dad might have seen as soft and saying, I love you, I'm just going to show you. He now says to our children all the time, Daddy loves you. That's not a sign of a soft man. So we got to take an introspective look at, and each man has to decide what soft really means when it comes to their children. Sheena, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I was going to interject about how can young boys learn appropriate ways to manage their emotions, say Boy Scouts, big brothers, big sisters, things of that nature, especially if you have a boy that does not have a father figure in the house. There have to be appropriate outlets. But now, lines are blurred. Boy Scouts now, it's not Boy Scouts, anybody can join. And so, now we've got people complaining about toxic masculinity, and then they're not providing appropriate outlets for people to really understand. You can't be too hard, but then you also can't be too soft. So where is the medium there? Who is regulating the emotional health of children and even grown men? I mean, do you guys have role models, support systems? I mean, what else is out there?
So let me say this. So sports, right? So a lot of our young boys, we put them in sports. And I think that is a healthy outlet. But what I even noticed with my nephew, you think about football, right? You get on football, you dominate, you crush, like it's a very intense sport. And I would see at a young age that he did not have the emotional intelligence to turn it off when he got off the field. So he would still be in this and I'm like, I need you to pipe down. Like, I need you to pipe down. We're about to go to the store. You out of control right now. But I had to really think about it. Like, we're teaching him 4 or 5 days a week in this football mode, and then you play a game, and that's a lot for them. I do think it's still a healthy outlet. Like, I'm not against football, because depending on the child, I think it can really give them discipline. It's mentorship. It's an outlet to express whatever they're doing. So I'm definitely not against it, but I think there has to be some type of balance in the sense of, like, afterwards with the parent, you have to be very intentional on trying to provide that child that balance, that loving, that nurturing. And it's just not like go hard all day, every day type of mentality.
Rashida,
So can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to go to Rashida real quick because she's had her hand up for a little bit, and then we'll come back. Go ahead, Rashida.
Oh, I was just going to say just earlier about the vulnerable conversation that being weak is relative, right? Because a lot of those same, like, I think one thing is that women, we do a great job at emoting because we have each other. We are used to being each other's village. So us sharing how we feel isn't new to us because we've been doing it. When we tell our friends, girl, I don't like that outfit and you look a mess, or girl, I'm mad at you. But men they don't, a lot of the times, in my opinion, from what I've seen, it's very hard for them to even identify another man to be vulnerable with or hold them accountable. So they go on in life acting strong, but end up weak emotionally or weak in every other area where they have to be a man because they're inept at doing certain things. So I think when we talk about weak, it's relative. Like, where is a man weak? Okay, let's list 10. Like, you can go on and on and on because this man he's not able to be vulnerable about what he's been through or experienced. He's unable to share his faults or where he's went wrong. Now, when you think about strength, in my opinion, I would say that a man who can share his faults and where he's wrong and what he's been through, and sharing some of his some of his challenges, that is a strong man, regardless if you're crying, right? And so I think that it's relative, and I think we all get hung up on like the crying part. Okay, you cried, but like, you're human. But like, if you're emotionally weak and you can't share how you feel, and it's toxic to me, or it's toxic to the environment around for people around you, then that's hurting everybody. Now we have a toxic situation because you can't tell me how you feel, or you can't tell me what happened last week, and now you're projecting on me. So I think it's just like a ripple effect, and it's just like a sick cycle.
Wow.
I want to touch base on that. So basically, vulnerability has to do with trust. If a person don't have trust, they cannot be vulnerable to you, either to your partner or to your friends. So they have to build that trust with the other person to be vulnerable, to talk to you about what happened last week, to talk to you about their emotions, to be able to cry in front of you and tell you what's really going on with their mind. And until you could build that trust with that person, male or female, your girlfriends you have that trust, you could talk to you about these things that's going on. Men have a harder time trusting another man because they have this protection about themselves. So to build the competition thing, and we have a hard time building that trust. Now, some men build that trust immediately. It's harder for us to trust another man. So we're gonna have that guard on us 24/7. So it's more difficult for us to build that bond, to be vulnerable, to speak openly like women do. So that's a problem that we have.
Bond, Daniel, what if you have that bond with your woman? What is the distance?
No.
The bond is there.
If you have the bond with that woman, that's no problem. Some partners are best friends. They're best friends. They have they're able to talk about everything because they're best friends. And if you have a partner and you're not, I don't want to mess my relationship right now, but if you're a partner and you're able to talk about everything, that's your best friend. If you have a partner and you're not able to fold and speak about anything in your mind, that's something that you guys need to build on. So you can build upon on.
Yeah, but sometimes I think the man just does not know how to communicate. Like,
what do you want from us though? Like, what do you want us to communicate? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm missing. Like,
damn feelings. How was your day other than fine? Like, what your frustrations? What you're annoyed about? Like, life.
Why do you want that information though? Like, I don't understand.
Why?
What do you want that for? Like, what? Okay,
because
like
that's what creates the connection.
I'm sorry?
That's what creates the connection. Like, how can I be connected to you if I can't just be connected to you sexually. I know you think you're doing everything great in the bedroom, but it's got to be more than just bedroom situation.
Why?
But that's how some men communicate.
We'll
be at work and get more small talk from people at work. From men at work will give us more in-depth conversations about what went on at home the other day.
You know why.
That's what I call the work husbands.
Exactly. Well, that's wrong. See, now that's why you guys shouldn't be at work. But I digress.
Okay, say that.
I'm just saying. I mean, that's why you guys shouldn't be, because
it was gonna come out at some point. There it is.
Don't go there now.
You stay home. You watch the kids. if you guys were at home, my 7-year-old would be having mental issues like you're saying 7-year-olds have. You stay home and you take care of
minute, bless Jesus. What?
I know you're joking.
Work
I know
husband.
you're
He's
joking.
not. The
No,
kid
he's
man
not.
has
But let's keep
pride.
it joking.
No,
He's
he's
not.
not.
Keep it joking.
No,
He's
he's
not.
dead serious.
He's
I am
dead
100% serious. You guys you're having a work husband and you bring that nonsense home and make me cry, and then you say I'm not connected
Oh, you
to
gonna
because
cry?
you
See, that's
have
all
some
it
other
is. I
minute.
want you to
some
cry a
other-
little bit so we can bond.
Wait, but why all the men perk up like, go ahead, Asado? Everybody wants to,
No.
yeah.
Hold on.
Manny, you actually
No.
felt proud saying you had a work husband. That is, if I came home with, you know,
It's a figure of speech used
say to you the
for
figure of speech, but
someone that is,
emotionally, your mind is. You're like, oh, Tony talks to me about all this stuff. Osada, why aren't you opening up to me? Hey, because why? Like what? Make the food. We go upstairs, do what we do, watch a
Ow, it hurts.
Oh,
It hurts.
hey,
What
can
are
I
you talking about?
can I jump in there real quick? So I'm going to say that while I appreciate Osato, I take the opposite view.
Okay.
I feel that my wife is my best friend and my partner, right? There's nothing that I can't share with her. There are things that I can share with her that I can't share with anyone else, because I'm most vulnerable to her. And you know what they say about hurt, right? People shouldn't be, the only people that can hurt you are the ones that you love and trust the most, right? And so that's kind of where we are. And that's the way I think that many men feel that way. And I know Osato, I know you it's a cultural issue as well. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where we are. I just wanted to address one thing and then I'll move forward. I want to go back to the mentoring, right? They used to say that it takes a village to raise a child, right? And I think we got to instill in our young babies and our younger children, expose them, especially for the single moms, to very strong men with morals and ethics to help teach and guide them. Somebody that's going to stay in their life permanently, right? It is hard to find. Even big brothers and big sisters run out of mentors and people to help our kids along. But you got to instill that at an early age. I will say that there are a lot of women that take their mindset, especially when things go south with dad, that we don't need dad. And I'm saying that's not true. And that's why we see some of the cultural issues that we have, some of the criminal issues and issues that we're having with our young kids today, is because there's less of a value that it takes a village to raise a child. That's instilled. Once jet engineering is done in your brain and in your mind, now you're taking a guy and you got to unwire him to think differently. So that's my take on the mentoring.
Right. Well, I was gonna say something to what Osato said before. It's that mindset that causes us to continue to have conversations like this, right? I get the cultural part and okay, yeah, you shouldn't have a work husband and all that, but you can't expect to just have a robot as a partner at home, right? No one's asking you to cry all the time or whatever, but if you come home and you had a hard day at work, your wife is supposed to be the first person that you come home to and be like, listen, I'm going through this at work or whatever. What do you think? Am I moving the right way or am I not? They would have your best interest at heart first before anybody else in the streets that you may think may have your back, man or woman. But if you just go check your wife as, listen, go cook my food and go lay in the bed and spread your legs, then you're not going to be moving too far, right? That's why we have men all depressed. You're like, okay, no, you can't cry or whatever. Nah, it's not about that. Like, you got to be able to have a little bit more substance in your relationship with your partner, more than just a bed buddy and a sous chef.
See, that's my communication. I'm not coming across clear. I'm not saying that your wife is only for the bedroom. No, I'm not saying that. But there's certain situations where if I have a problem at work, the first thing, first I have a network of guys who you bounce ideas off. If I bounce it off of them and I call Andre and he tells, oh, Sato, this, I don't think I should bring that home. It's already settled. You know, it's like if this, I don't understand what, Johnny didn't send me the right email, and I don't need to be bugging you down with all of that.
I mean, women,
You know, I don't
our own emotional issues. So we don't need two overly emotional people in the house. One person has.
So what about making decisions? What about making decisions that'll impact the household? If you call Andre and you talk to him about it, and he says, "Oh yeah, that's good to me."
There are levels to this. No, if it's a decision that's the household, of course she's 50-50. Well, I mean, she's 82. No, I'm kidding. She's 50-50. We run it. I just said that to make you laugh. It's 50. It's actually 60-40 because, you know, we're in America. You know, if I was back home, it'd be 90-10. But, you know, we're in America, so it's 60-40. You guys get everything. And we just, you know, have to beg to see our kids, which is fine. That's okay. It's, you know, that's what makes this a great country. But anyway.
I don't think it's just a cultural thing, though. I definitely see this in my practice with African-American men.
You want us to talk about mundane stuff. That's the thing. And
I'm
so upset that I'm talking because there are other men here who need to, because I just need to come across to you ladies. Don't be mad if we don't give you mundane information. When big things happen, if I'm getting a promotion, I'll run that by Sheena. If I'm getting laid off, I'll run that by her. But if Johnny said some nonsense to me at work, and I don't need to call, oh, he was racist. Is this racism?
I agree. That's something you can skip. But I think the problem is sometimes we don't even get the big stuff. Or by the time we get it, it's so big, like I got laid off. And it's like, wait a minute, you didn't know you were getting close to getting laid off for the last couple of weeks.
We could have helped you pivot before you get laid off.
So, and I think it's just communication as a whole to me. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be about work or have to be, but it's when there is a lack of communication in the relationship. And what I'm seeing is that when you have that lack of communication, and what I'm starting to see is like it leads to infidelity. And the infidelity isn't with the men. The infidelity is with the women. I'm seeing a lot of women that are coming in. Now the man wants to go to therapy because now the wife has cheated because there was an emotion.
Yeah, because you guys have the work husband. You see, you out because of the work husband. You see, that's why you shouldn't be at work having work husband.
Probably wouldn't have had a
work husband. Stop being a woman for having work husband.
But you guys
only
know
be
how
under
women
the authority
are built,
of the man that you sleep with. You shouldn't be at work being under the authority of some other man. Stop having work husband, keep it to your girlfriends, keep it to yourselves, and you won't be cheating and having us have depressive episodes because you guys are out wherever at night.
A work husband doesn't have authority though. They just buy you lunch.
Oh, see, you see? Okay, Dula Dawn.
Okay, wait.
That's how I get started. Lunch, then dinner, then they send out movies out there.
Go ahead, Earl. I want to hear from Earl. Go ahead. We got a new hand.
I just wanted to really reiterate the communication piece. I couldn't really chime in, like I told you earlier, when I had the baby. Melody, I had the baby, but it's definitely the communication at what level, what how do I want to say it? What how can I put it? Like it's you have to be able to just express yourself in some way. Now, as a man, I understand, both sides. I'm like Andre. I come from a generation to where it was the village, and if it wasn't the village, it was, it was somebody you could look up to or someone, the neighborhood situation where I came from. Then I grew up a competitive swimmer in the 70s. An individual sport with the discipline of individual sports discipline is different. So my household dynamic, I didn't commute. I was an athlete at an early age, 5 years old, on through college. I just performed. I didn't communicate, but I learned over time from just life experiences in the neighborhood that I needed to start communicating. People mistook my actions or whatever. It was too much confusion, right? And I'm just saying, me personally, I have no problem communicating. I'm an open book. I want you to understand me. I want to understand you. And I'm big on clarity. So I don't have that issue or that problem. Now, as far as being a man and having buddies that will maybe come to, just like, like a woman or anybody that wants an either a shoulder to crown or an ear to hear. Like people, you bringing it somewhere. But as far as the husband-wife dynamic or whatever the case, the first thing I told Sharon Dayton is that let me be specifically clear with, there's nothing we shouldn't be able to talk about. Like nothing. Now, the average person might just be like, oh, okay, whatever. I'm literally like nothing, because I want to be clear. I don't like leaving rooms where there's speculation. I grew up in an area, I'm from Southeast, Soufest. I've seen people killed over miscommunication, non-communication, and speculation. I've seen confusion in my household, just like Andre, my father. It wasn't we didn't hug, wasn't a whole lot of, it was, you knew it, you knew the love was there, but it wasn't really expressed that way. Moms did everything. I think if I had 1,000 swim meets, my dad may have come to one. And he was doing other things. Two other families was happening, but the communication piece, I can't live without it, because I want to be clear, because my foundation is the confusion is not going to be on my behalf. Like, I'm going to tell you how I feel. Don't get me wrong. I'm in full disclosure, I'll cry at a commercial. I'm very emotional, but the man piece, I never had a problem, because I would be around Southeast whooping 2-3 guys and crying. So I ain't had I never had a problem with, people taking me for a joke or a sucker or whatever the case, but the emotion part.
Are you a Capricorn?
A Leo. It's like, you got to communicate in some ways, form, or fashion. I wanted to chime in because it was touched on, to be like, just the communication. Now, what we say as men, I can only speak for me. Even with my buddies, like, it might be a guy with the mindset of like, nah, I ain't saying all this, I ain't saying all that. Well, why wouldn't you speak these things? Because you wearing me out. Like, tell your lady this, or tell your wife that, or whatever. But I just wanted to chime in on the communication piece, that the foundation, it's a release. It's like forgiveness. It ain't for the person that wronged you. It's for you.
Listen, come through here. Let me tell you. So let me tell y'all, the difference in the conversation is obvious. I see you, Daniel. The difference in the conversation is obvious. You got your 40 and under, and you got your 40 and over. And what we have learned being old folk, because I'm over 50, is that there should be no unclear space. Everything should be said. And Osato, I understand what you're saying, but in my household, let me tell you what we do. We go in the evening and we get in the car after my husband, who has never been taken for any kind of feminine form, fashion, or whatever, none of that. So we get in the car and we go get coffee in the evening, and we talk about our day, and we talk about who pissed him off, who pissed me off. So he gonna hear about Johnny and everybody else, and then I'm gonna hear about whoever at work, because there is no room for a work husband for me, because my husband has heard it all. So if you give your wife that space, she don't need a work husband. But if you keep thinking for a mere minute that sex and the kitchen is going to keep you happily married, it is not by any means necessary and that's 50 years of knowledge. Now, in my 30s, I might have thought that was a thing, but it's not. When I can tell my husband who pissed me off, even walking through the hospital, who rolled their eyes at me, who pissed me off, he gonna listen to me, and then he might say whatever he has to say, and then I just released it and let it go. It's not even that he has an opinion about it, but that he released it from me, and it is now off of me and out in the air. So I don't need a work husband. So I get that. So I'm gonna just tell you, that's just me being 52 years old. Bless the Lord. Go ahead, Daniel.
Andre Shots.
Please.
Shouts to the man with the red cup.
Thank you.
Way to go.
Somebody said, "Will
Cheers to her 50 years of knowledge."
Good thing for keeping our
I'm just saying. Go ahead, Daniel. What you got to say?
All right, I'm gonna say one thing. Whenever a man meets a woman,
oh Lord, we
right?
To the birds and the bees. Go ahead.
No, not birds and bees. If he doesn't speak in the beginning of the relationship, what makes you think he's gonna speak in the middle, in the end of the relationship.
Oh, that's her fault. I'm sorry. I'm
Right.
sorry.
Well said.
If you're not cute, if you're still cute to me for a man, if I'm still cute to you with no makeup on, I'm gonna be gorgeous to you with my makeup. So you need to let them see who you are and not send a representative. That's the problem.
Right. So
What
if
you
he
think
And
is
we
cute
need to
when
stop
y'all
with the I
dating is
can
not cute when
change
you're not
him. We
dating.
can't fix no damn body. Go ahead.
No.
Correct.
What you
So
see and him
I don't
talking
think
about,
it's changing.
let me know where you are. Wait every 5 minutes. That's control. And it's cute when you date, but it's not cute when you're married and when you can't leave a house and you got to know every step. And bringing it back full circle, you got to figure that out before you become parents. Because if not, you are raising yourself all over again, and you are raising insecure boys who become insecure teenagers, who become insecure men, who become somebody's insecure husband. And that's all I'm saying. You got to figure out what works in the boundaries of your relationship. But if you don't check it when they're 7, it's not checked at 17, and it's not checked at 47. And now we done introduced a baby into this whole picture, and you got all this bottled up emotion because you could never tell anybody how you feeling about anything. And now we are trying to raise a baby, and it's not going to be cute.
What if it's a mature man and the woman is immature? It goes both ways.
Oh, and again, we talk about this. We talk about women all the time. We're only talking about men because this is the men's perspective tonight. This is about men. But 90%, we've already owned up to postpartum depression. We have already owned up to being, premenopausal. We have already owned up to being menopausal. We own our crazy. Let me tell you, and all the women, y'all could be mad at me. We all crazy. It's just a level of crazy. And men, you need to figure out what level of crazy you okay with. Because if she real crazy and you can't deal with real crazy, don't date her real crazy. She might be a little bit crazy and you be like, okay, baby, we can deal with this. Deal with that. But she not going to change. She not going to change because you put a ring on her finger.
Right, but with women, we could show you and tell you what kind of crazy we are, so you know, don't step on this little mine over here because you're about to blow the bomb on. But if you don't talk to us,
we can't tell you crazy.
Some men like the crazy. Some men like
maniac that can cook.
My work husband gonna tell me.
Yeah, some of them like it. They like all that drama, busting windows, flattening tires, all that type.
Yes, it make them feel wanted. It make them feel wanted. Huh?
Give me a maniac that can cook.
That's right. I bust the window out your car.
Listen, Andre, no. If he in a fight, we in a fight. If he fighting somebody, we is fighting somebody. Already told they talking about you call 911. No, you call 911. Because I'm gonna be that one that's right there with you. You gotta know what kind of woman you got. Because you can't make a mother out of somebody that ain't got no maternal instincts. I'm sorry. If she busting windows, she gonna take that baby with her to bust windows. The baby gonna be in the back seat. She gonna roll up in the car. She gonna get out. She gonna bust the window. She gonna get back in the car with the baby, and they both going up the street.
I feel like life is just extremely complicated, right? Because by the time we get relationships and know how to be men, we've had bad experiences. And those bad experiences build insecurities. You got to learn how to be vulnerable all over again, which is really tough to do in order to sustain a relationship and have that kind of level of communication. I mean, that's just the end of story. It's like a never-ending story, right? And it seems like it's hard for two couples to really line up. But at the end of the day, we got to take our time, learn, figure out what kind of person we're with. And I from a man's perspective, women do not tell you who they are. We all put up the best front that we can put up for as long as we can until we get married, right? And then then the truth come out, right? So I just say people just have to learn how to take their time in relationships, get to know their people, the real people, and then figure out if that's something they can live with. Because I'm telling you right now,
and
it's
learn
rough
from the lessons of the past relationship.
Yep, absolutely.
Whatever didn't work. If you attracted a psycho, don't attract a psycho the second time. If you were the psycho, don't be the psycho in your next one. Otherwise, then it's just a perpetual lifetime story of psychoness. And now you're passing it on to your kids.
And make sure you have the same belief system.
Yeah.
Because
Equally yoked, you're right.
that is something that's not going to change. If you have one belief, she can't have a different belief. And then y'all going to try to figure out once the baby get here what belief system that is. You are over here eating every kind of meat you can get your hands on, and she a vegan, and now y'all arguing about what the baby going to eat. Like, what are we doing? Have the same belief system, because that in itself is going to send the household in a tizzy, because it's good while the baby is only breastfeeding and we going to be, but come on, y'all gotta talk about this stuff, because then you want to put your foot down talking about, well, I'm the man, like Osato said, whether it's 80-20, 60-40, whatever. Then you're going to talk about, now I'm going to put my foot down and this is the way it's going to be in this house. But we didn't even talk about that.
If being a man was the perfect thing and was okay by itself, Eve wouldn't have happened. Eve jacked it all up, but Eve wouldn't have happened if being a man by himself was the way to go. Y'all need us.
So when we talk about, like, because I think, we say cultural issues. I don't think it's issues, because I kind of want to ask, like, Osada's wife, I don't want to say your name wrong, I'm sorry. But when we talk about making sure y'all have the same beliefs, like, we may be frustrated at what he's saying, but you're saying, like, it works for y'all. It works in your household. And I mean, it's not anything wrong with it. It's just like, make the best out of what you got with your partner, and I'm sure you are his safe space. We're not saying that you're not his safe space, but we're just trying to figure out how can we all create that safe space.
Well, okay, so with us, you mentioned the cultural differences. There obviously are huge cultural differences, but for us, the foundation is very similar. Like, when we first met, we discovered that we both went to the same type of church. We both wanted children. We both wanted to be married. So all of the basics work for us. At the end of the day, of course, we've got different viewpoints on pretty much everything, but at the end of the day, we know that we want to raise our kids a certain way. So, all the other stuff, like, I don't get caught up in the stuff that he says. Obviously, he says things for a reaction. It's funny, but I'll tell you what, it keeps things fresh. Like, I say wild stuff that people would never believe that I say, but it keeps things fresh. We're not trying to continually send our representative. This is who we are. That's who he is. I love it. This is who I am. I know that he absolutely loves it. So
yes. Well, it is. Oh, I was going to say, Nick, why you bouncing? But I see the little person. We are coming down to the last few minutes of our conversation. I think the whole point of tonight's conversation is we do see things a lot of times vastly different, men from women, age differences. So what you think is cool in your 20s and 30s might not be cool in your 40s and 50s. Like, there's a wealth of knowledge. This is our village, and our village is so much larger than what's on this call tonight. But have a safe space, have somebody to talk to. And I would hate to think that it's not your spouse, but if it's not, have somebody that's going to give you good direction. Somebody that's not going to be, yeah, you need to get you a side piece, dude, or yeah, girl, you need to find somebody that's going to give you wise counsel. Somebody that's going to try to protect your bubble. Somebody that's going to try to think about, because all of us on here are parents. That's why we're connected in the village. We all have children. And so we all want to protect our children for some of the traumas that we've gone through in life. Like, if we can get past some of the things that we were never protected from as children and grew to be whatever and be better and without all of this trauma, that's what we're in this group to do. We're trying to make sure that we can prevent childhood trauma from our children growing up, and that's helping us to understand each other differences or not. Yes, and sometimes that entails a glass or two of wine and a conversation with our friends. And that's what everybody on here, difference of opinion or not, we love all of y'all. Andrea and I love all of you all to pieces. We are glad that you are our village, the men too. And that's why we meet. As often as we meet, we, just for you all that don't know, we meet outside of this live quite often in this setting, sometimes in person, and we have each other's back. So find somebody that's a safe space. Find somebody that is going to protect what you have and not tear it down. Find somebody that you feel safe with enough to, if you want to cry. Like if you don't never cry, that's fine. Like you probably need to anyway. But if you never cry, find somebody that you can express all the emotions to, and they're going to be a safe space. But in the meantime, if you need us, we're here. hello@melodichands.com. You can find all of us, our website, www.handsofmelody.com. And also we now have our YouTube page, Hands of Melody. We also have Instagram. This is all Angie. This is not me because I'm old and I told y'all that already. Hands of Melody has all of that. If you are birthing, soon to birth, got a child under 2, and you just need a village, we want to be there for you. I appreciate all of you all. I love you all to pieces. Thank you for being on here tonight. I see the Reverend Dr. Bishop jumped in at the end. We didn't get a chance to get words of wisdom. Did you want to throw in there anything out there for us, Wallace? Because you know I always like to hear you talk. What you got to say? You got anything you want to say to the people?
I don't have much to say. I've been talking all day, it seems. So all I have to say is that, you know, I think that one of the major things is something that I've been hearing a lot today in multiple conversations, multiple circles, and that is self-care. Even within relationships, it's so important to give each other that space, to give each other that time for self-care. And it really can make or break a relationship if you don't take time for yourself. You can't provide your best self for your mate. So that's just important at the end of the day. Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Hey, can I end with one quick statement? We got 2 minutes left, right? Earlier, we talked about that great subject we love to talk about, right? And that's sex. And I want to bring that back up for one quick second. I want to say that especially to the young folks, I'm almost that double nickel, right? Which is cool. We can't do the same at my age. You can't do the same things you
can't do circus tricks
in your 20s. I still try, but I ain't like I'm in my 20s. But at the end of the day, I will say that when nothing else is there, when you can't do what you used to do, you got friendship, right? That's the only thing you got left in your relationship. So you got to build that from an early age and at early times, right? So it's got to be more to your relationship than just sex. I say that just to prove a point, right?
Andre, Manchevitz and Red Bull. Manchevitz and Red Bull.
Hey, man, they got a whole lot of stuff that work, but you know, when you age catches up to you, and I'm not throwing myself in the
Jewish
really
wine, Manchevitz and Red Bull, out of this world.
Listen, I ain't throwing myself in the very old category yet, but I'm just saying it is. I just want to stress, you know, that's why you should build that relationship. You got to build a decent relationship, because when nothing else is left, that's all you got is your relationship with your wife
and your work husband.
And no work husband. And your kids gonna leave the nest, so you gotta know each other once your kids.
I can still fight. There is no work husbands. There better not be.
Dawn, no work husbands. Kill that. Do what, Dawn. Kill that work husband.
That was like a trigger word.
It is.
All righty, guys. We are going to sign out. Angie, you ready to take us out, ma'am? Join us next week for Winedown Wednesday. You know, can you get it? Can you get it? Technical difficulties. Your computer acting up. What you doing?
Screen sharing is disabled.
Screen sharing is disabled. We're going to enable screen sharing real quick. Watch this. Watch what happened. We're going to make this happen. Y'all, we old. Didn't I tell y'all we was old over here? We over here. There you go, mama. Join us next week. This is just a snippet of what we will be talking about next week. Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it.